Aloha, Richard Halverson here, and this is ICS 321. And right now I'd like to show you how to do exercise or assignment 4.2. Okay, so we're talking about this. Let me see, I gotta go to assignments and assignments. And I need to go to, okay, assignment 4. This is where we are, assignment 4. And we just finished stored procedures, or we just finished this campus cuisine database assignment a little earlier today. Let's see, today, and right now we're going to do the seasoned steak and side database. Just want to make sure I'm recording here. All right. All right. So so we're going to consider this again, and I'm gonna and I just put these up here. This is the main dish side dish table showing the relationship, uh, how the how the side dish is determined by the main dish, and then we have the main dish and the wine. And these tables are both in BCNF because we have what we call a multi-value dependency, where we have salmon steak determines mashed potatoes, but actually what it is salmon steak determines either mashed potatoes or white rice. Uh, so, so salmon steak can go with mashed potatoes, it can go with white rice, but you notice a baked potato here. Beef steak goes with a baked potato, but we don't see salmon steak with a baked potato. We see beef steak with mashed potatoes, but we don't see uh, well, but we don't see, I might not have said that right, but we don't see beef steak with white rice and so on. So that's called a multi-value dependency. And we have the same thing with wine here. So the idea is um, the only um, the only valid meals are uh, taking are found by doing an actual join between these two tables, and you end up with the a correct combination of all the possible valid meals. The meals have to follow, have to obey the dependencies that are defined in these two separate tables here. And so the way this works is the manager, you know, the day of the um, that day, the manager looks at the inventory and decides what meals can be offered that day. And um, what we're asked to do is to write a store procedure that where the manager will enter these meals into this the menu for that day, and the add meal will check to make sure that it follows these dependencies, and will reject any meal that is entered that is where there's an attempt to enter that as a meal for that particular day. It'll reject those that are not valid. And so the store procedure takes in the date of the date of the menu as is here, the main dish, the side dish, the wine, and then it will return an error message and an error code, and it will also return a message. And so so the error code will be 0 for no error, and that means it was inserted fine. It's going to return a 1 if the main dish does not exist. I mean, it's possible that you misspell something, so it'll catch that. It'll return a 2 if the side dish doesn't exist, return a 3 if the wine doesn't exist. It'll return a 4 if the main dish is mismatched with the side dish, and it'll return a 5 if the main dish is mismatched with the wine. And then it'll return a 6 If the meal, it's a valid meal, however, the meal has already been entered for that day. So it turns out when you break all this down, it actually does not need to be a transaction, even though I ask you to make it a transaction. And do I ask you to make it a transaction? I guess I don't. Okay, yes, it doesn't need to be a transaction. It just goes down the line and checks these things. First checks if the main dish is here, uh, and then it checks if the side dish is here, and then it checks if the wine is here, and then it checks to see that this is paired up correctly, and then it checks to see if this is paired up correctly, and then it sees if it is actually in this table already. Okay, so it's pretty simple. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to use my ASMT assignment 3 seasoned steak inside table that or database that I created for assignment 3, and I've got this main side table. It's got the main dishes and the side dishes. It's all key. I have a main wine, which is made of main dishes and wine dishes, and it too is all key. And I got this menus table where what you would do is for any particular date, you would search on the date, and it would display out all the meals that were offered that day. And so this also would be all key. So we are so everything is in BCNF, that's for sure. But it's also in 4NF because we have these multi-valued dependencies, and so they're broken down. This table, you know, we cannot just have this table, even though it's BCNF. If we have just this table, then we could get messed up by the fact that that it's possible to enter in something in this table since it's all key. It's possible to enter something into this table that does not match up and fit the criteria defined by the multi-value dependencies up here. So anyway, okay, so let's get started. So click on the database. Here we are at the database level. Click on routines. We're going to make a new routine. We're going to add a routine. And we are supposed to, I'm going to open this up at this right now. And I'm going to, in fact, you know, I don't want to get burned again. So I'm going to write my code. I'm going to write my code in my editor here. Oh, wait a minute. I'll come back to that. All right. So so the name of this stored procedure is going to be, well, it's right here. Add meal. Let me copy this in as a comment. Copy. And I'm going to put the begin here. And then I'm going to put a comment. There we go. And I'm going to put an end. All right. And I'm going to, that's good. It's called add meal. Copy, paste. Oh, no, I didn't mean to do that. Yeah, I meant to do, there should be a space there because I want to be able just to copy that. Copy, paste. And I've got 1, 2, 3 inputs, oh, 4 inputs and 2 outputs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is an output. This is an output, and the rest of these are inputs. This is called menu date 1. This here. This is called main dish 1. Put this here. This is called side dish 1, put that here. This is called line 1, put that here. This is called error, put that here. This is called MSG, put that here. These are all, this is a date field. This is a varchar, this is a varchar, 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 and varchar. This could be like 200. This might be, actually in this case, in this program, I check a bunch. Let's see, do I really still do that? Let's see. I check a few things. I check a bunch of things, and if there's more than one error, I'll simply add that digit error code, append it, or concatenate it onto the previous error code. So this can return more than one error code. If you made 3 errors, it may return actually 3 error codes and tell you what all 3 of the errors are. So this is going to be a little bit bigger number. I'll make this 20. And then this is going to be a varchar, and this is going to be, I think I said this was 50, and we could have a side dish that's 50, and we could have a main dish that's 50. All right, so that looks pretty good. And then I'm gonna stick an end here, and I'm gonna see if I can save this. Oh yeah. All right, good. Just saving it along the way. Nothing wrong with that. All right, I'm gonna open this wider, and open this wider. And I think to make it so it's okay, I think I gotta do something like adjust this a little bit. And then that makes it so I can go ahead and edit this again, and it works. All right, so I'm gonna start by, I'm not sure I need to start a transaction, but I'm gonna start a transaction anyway, just in case. I might take this up later. Because I don't really insert anything until the very end, that's why. All right, so I'm going to start out by initializing these output variables, output parameters. Hold on a second. I want to make sure that I am recording and there's sound. Okay, good. And then at the end of the transaction, I commit that word. All right, where was I? Okay, so you start a transaction and then you commit a transaction. All right, so now I got to set these output variables. So I'm going to say set error equals equals nothing, because in this program I'm going to return a blank error code if there's no error, and I'm going to set the message equal to nothing. And okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check out the main dish and see if the main dish is in this table. I'm going to see if the main dish, actually, what I should check to see if the main dish is in this table and in this table. Okay. Never mind. I'm going to assume that if it's main dish. Oh, hold on a second. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. All right. I'm going to assume that if it's in this table, it'll be in this table also. So I'm going to do set, and I think I'll create this variable called exists. Set exists equals select count. I'm going to count how many times. Yeah, that's a good way to do it. Count how many times from the main side dish table, where main dish is equal to main dish that was just entered, which is this. And so this is the field main dish, and this this checks to see this counts how many instances of the main dish. Let's say this is beefsteak. This counts how many times beefsteak appears in main side. It's got to be at least one. It can be more than one. So if exists is equal to 0, in other words, if it's not in there at all, then we want to say that there's an error. So I'm going to say set the error code, set error equal to concat error, comma, quote, 1. Okay, I'm going to put a space after that in case I want to append another error code on there. So this is going to append an error code of 1 onto the error code variable here. And I also want to append onto the message set msg equals concat msg comma the main dish, main dish 1 comma is not available as a main dish, period, space, in case I want to append another message onto that. Close the concat, and then I'm going to end this if. My cat is coming to visit me. I'm sorry, Pepper, I'm doing a recording right now, okay? Here's my cat. Say hi. Hi. All right, let's get back to this. All right, so I just checked to see if the main dish were available. There could be lots of reasons why it's not in here. Could be because we just don't have flounder, or it could be that we spelled beefsteak wrong. So, all right, so this checks to see if the main dish is there. Next, I want to check to see if the side dish is there. So let me just do the same thing. This thing, copy, paste, and I'm going to do from main dish where side dish equals side dish. And if not, I'm going to be the error code is going to be 2, right? Main dish doesn't exist, side dish doesn't exist. I should do something smart and copy this whole thing here. Copy. And I'm going to go like this. Paste. How's that? Alrighty, that's pretty good for documentation there. All right, so side dish does not exist. That would be this one. Is not available as a main dish, is not available as a side dish. The third, and then I want to do wine. So let me just copy this here, copy, paste, and count from main wine. Main wine, oops, where wine is equal to line 1. And if exists equals 0, it's going to be this one, 3. And is not this one, oh, wait a second, this is going to be side. And this is going to be wine. Wine 1 is not available as a wine. Is not an available wine. How's that? All right. Okay, and then, so that's the third one. What's the fourth one? If the main dish is mismatched with the side dish. Okay, so it's going to be just like this. It's going to be like this, sort of. So I'm going to put that over here. And it's going to be if main side, where main dish equals main dish and this side dish equals that. If that's true, then we're good. If it's not true, then we are into error number 4 territory. And the code there would be something more like, oops. That's going to be something more like for message, error code number 4. And I'd say the message should be more something like this. Main dish with this side dish would never be served at the seasoned steak and side. Okay, so in other words, you're not going to see those two together. All right. Next, we're going to do main dish and wine. So let's copy and paste this, and we're looking at main wine. We're main dish and wine. Wine is equal to wine 1. And if that exists, the error is going to be error 5. Is that right? Yeah, error 5. And the main dish with wine 1 would never be served at the seasoned steak and side. All right, so that takes care of error code number 5. And error code number 6 is this meal has already been entered for the day. So the last one here, we are actually checking the whole shebang. So we're checking if main side, we're doing main side natural join main wine, where main dish equals main dish and main side equals main side, or I'm sorry, side dish equals side dish. and wine equals wine. So we're counting to see, oh, and the date. We got to check the date too. Um, hmm. Ooh. Oh. No, no. I don't want to look there. I need to look in menus, where all of this is true, and the date, and the menu date equals menu, what do I call it? Menu date 1? I think so. Menu date 1, yes. Okay. So menus where main dish equals main dish and side dish equals side dish and wine equals wine and menu date. Okay, if that's true, oh, wait a second. I got some of these wrong. This makes sure that it's there. So if it's not there, it's an error. If it's not there, it's an error. If it's not there, it's an error. If this is, oh, if this is not there, it's an error. No. Yes, that's correct. If it's not there, it's an error. If it's not there, if it, in this one, if it is there, it's an error. So if that is there, then we're doing error number 6. And that message is something more like, something like this, where main dish and side dish with the wine has already been added for the date. Okay. And at the very end, we need to add it. So how does this work? Okay, so at this point, actually, I should put error check. Okay, because if it's not a main dish, or it's not a side dish, or it's not a wine, we don't need to do any of these other checks. So I'm going to say right here, I'm going to say if error is still equal to nothing, then do this stuff. Okay. So if error is equal to nothing, then let's check to see if main dish plus side dish is there. If it's not, we have a problem again. So I'm going to end if here. And then let's do this again. You know, I'm gonna do both I'm gonna test both these things here. So if it gets to this point and the error code is still blank, then that means all 3 of the items, the main dish, the side dish, and the wine, were all present. And this checks to see if the main dish can go with the side dish, and this checks to see if the main dish can go with the wine. And if it makes it out of here, then we know that works. So I'm going to check again if error is still equal to nothing. Then we've made it out of there. And here we actually check to see if it's already in the database, and if it is, so and if. So if it makes it to here and the error is still blank, then we know that all's well and we can actually insert the menu item. So if error is still equal to 0, then we can insert the insert it, and we can insert into menus the menu date, the main dish, the side dish, and the wine. And the values are menu date 1, main dish 1, side dish 1, wine 1. And then I'm going to want to set the error message, or set, it's not an error message anymore, it's just a regular message. Main dish and side dish with this wine has been added for this date. And that should be the end of this. Okay, so we actually don't need to have a transaction because there's only one point where we actually do something to change the database, and that's at the very end here. And we've already done all of our checks. Okay, so this is, we validated our data before we've actually done the insert, and it's all done in this stored procedure here. So I'm going to take this commit out of here because we don't need to have that transaction here. Okay, so this looks like this. I hope this is still good. Let me say go. Ah, yes. Okay, so this is our program here. And we, oh, Jesus, it's not, can I? Oh, I can move this down. Okay, good. Ooh, all right. We initialize these two variables, these two output variables. First, we check to see if the main dish is in the main side table. It's not, get an error. Put an error message here, main dish. Then we check to see if the side dish is in the main side table. If not, error code number 2, and we display that out. We concatenate the message. So we still have the first message if there is one. And this one checks to see if wine is in the main wine table. Same thing, wine. If we've made it through these three, then we know that all three, the main dish, the side dish, and the wine, are actually spelled correctly. And then we're going to check to see if the main dish goes with the side dish, and if the main dish goes with the wine. And if that works, then the last thing we do is we check to see if it's in the menu already. And if it's not in the menu already, then we go ahead and add it to the menu. All right, very good. So right now, let's take a look at, if we go back to here, this is saved and everything. If we go here to our SQL assignments and we enter in our username and our password, we can just click on this meal check. For assignment 3, just click this, and we aren't entering anything, but we do see what's in the menu already. For 11/20, for example, what's the date today? Oh, that's in the future. Okay, so this is like Wednesday, I guess, or something. So these things have already been added for Wednesday. This has been added for Thursday. Salmon steak, mashed potatoes, and Pinot Grigio. Let's test this out a little bit. Let's try to put it in right here. Okay, so this is going to test our assignment for 4.2. Let's say the date is 2019. Oh, this day here. Oops. Except for, let me do a right click and do, oh, that doesn't work, does it? Let me just go look at this again. I'm going to trick of mine here. Oops. This one. I'm going to copy this so I can have a copy of it. Let me go back to here now. Okay, so we can add 2019, 11, 21. And for main dish, let's put salmon steak. And let's put mashed potatoes. Oops. Mashed potatoes. And let's put a Pinot Grigio. And that's already in there, so what does it say? It returns salmon steak and mashed potatoes. It's already been added. Great. So error number 6. If we go, how about if we go 2000, okay, let's do this day again. Salmon steak, side dish of, I don't know, baked potato. Baked potato. No, I know. Yeah, okay, baked potato. And the wine is, I'm going to say, Pinot Noir. It says, salmon steak with baked potato would never be served at the seasoned steak and side. Salmon steak with Pinot Noir would never be served at the seasoned steak and side. Oh no, I gotta put a space in between there. So the error is both error code number 4 and error code number 5. All right, that's pretty cool, isn't it? Let me go back here. I want to add some spaces. Make sure I got spaces here. Space, 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 space. All right, that's fine. Refresh. There, space. All right, so that looks like that works. Now, great, fantastic. Second part of this assignment, you got to create this addmeal.php, okay? So you remember from the last time, let's go to our file manager and let's double click on public HTML. And here's our add place. We're gonna do an add, the other one, so I'll tell you what, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna right click and I'm gonna say copy. And I'm gonna call it, yeah, that's what I want to do. Am I supposed to, file path. Can I just do that? All right, I gotta do this again. Copy, and I'm gonna say add meal.php. And here's that. Now let's edit it. Edit. And this is going to be my add meal, and we're going to go back to add. So I'm just going to change this. Add meal. So you recall from the previous video. All right, here's the code. Okay, this is different from this up here. Yeah, from this up here. We did this in an earlier video. We did this one up here. The only difference here is these are the inputs right here. So I'm going to copy this, copy, and I'm going to put that over here in place of this. Paste. There, that's better. and it's going to be called add meal. Oh, let me just go over to here. This statement here. Copy. Paste. Okay, add meal, date, main, side, wine, date, main, side, wine, date, main, side, wine. Error message, blah, blah. Oh, this is going to be different here. This is what this is going to, it's these ones. Date, main, side, wine. Copy. Place of this. Paste. Date, main, side, wine. Or whatever. All right, so that should work. I think that, okay, now, you recall that we, when this thing runs, if the username and the password are not entered, then it knows that it's just running this page without anything. In fact, to say what I'm going to do, I'm going to run this page. Let me go to my web page, which is this one, and now here's my add meal. Now it's going to look like this. It's asking for campus cuisine in place, but that's because when we just run it, just plain without anything, then when we run it just like that, then user and pass are not going to equal anything. It's because there's no request parameters coming in. So if both user and pass, or if either of them are blank, it means for this thing to run, you need to include your username and your password along with the date, the main dish, the side dish, and the wine. So you have to enter in 6 things. You have to pass in the username and the password, and you have to pass in the date, the main, the side, and the wine. And then it's able to connect to the database, and then it's able to call your store procedure and pass in the arguments that it needs to pass in. But if username and password, if the username and the password have not been entered, then what this does is it's going to do this part instead. See, if the username is blank or the password is blank, then it's going to do this part. If it's not true, if both the username and the password have something in it, then it's going to do the else case, and it'll do this part down here where it'll attempt to process your request. So you recall what we did when there was either a blank username or a blank password, that we displayed out this form that asked the user, the password here, and then it also for the previous problem, for this problem up here, this campus cuisine, it asked for the campus, the cuisine, and the place. Well, in our case down here, we're going to be asking for the date, the main dish, the side dish, and the wine. So let's change this to main dish. Main dish, side dish, wine, and I forgot the date. Date, menu date. Menu date. So this is going to be date, main, side, and wine. And guess it doesn't really matter how big this is. It's gonna be fine. All right, so that looks pretty good. Let me save this. And this is gonna come out good. Okay, message, all right. So let's run it. Refresh this. And here now it's asking for the menu date, the main dish, the side dish, and the wine. Look at that, it's all pre-filled in these damn browsers. All right, so I don't know if was this, oops. This is my menu so far. I don't have anything. Okay, so this should probably go in just fine because that all looks good. Let me press enter. Oh, why does it say denied? Oh, it's because I got the wrong database. Why do I have the wrong database? Oh, let's go back to here. Oh, it should be SSS, the database. SSS. All right, that's better. Save this. And go back to here, and I should be able just to refresh this. There we go. Beefsteak, mashed potato has been added for 2019-11-16, and there's no error code. Beefsteak, okay. So what happens if I try to do one of these other things? What if I do salmon steak? Salmon steak with Pinot Noir would never be served at the seasoned steak and side. Error number 5. All right. Well, anyway, that looks pretty good. So I think I've shown you enough, so you should be able to do this assignment and make it nice and clean. Maybe you can make the form look nicer, but you need to make sure that your program here accepts these 6 inputs exactly as they are here, because that's how we're going to test them. We're going to try to, we're experimenting around with automated grading, and we want to be able just to send a request to we'll have your username and password, send a request to your website at that place, at that location. I'm talking about being able to send it right directly to here, this URL directly, but we will send in just like the post, we'll send in these values, and we should be able to try it out and see that your code works, and it'll also verify that your stored procedure works. So I hope this helped. Thanks for watching.